that's leaking into another unit, but they won't let us come in and fix it, which means, obviously, you gotta go to legal and say, hey, we need to be able to come in and fix it. That's been going on for some time, and it's running up a high bill. So we're gonna try and break out the legal costs so we can start to understand what that costs us. But we are over budget in that category. Generally, and we're also under budget in salaries. Yeah. So we're under a couple of spots, a couple of positions, and we're going to be working on that soon. In terms of cash in the bank, which is always good to have, we have operating cash in the bank of $786,000. That's for our operating budget, so that's what we collect to cover the monthly expenses, our operating expenses. If you take out what we have to pay still from that, we have a net cash position of $820,000 in the bank. Typically, condos say that we should have 2 months of money in the bank for safe days, right, as a safety net. We're under that. Our 2 months would be about 1.1 million, and we have 620, so we're short on that. It's probably a good point for us to get that there right now, but right now what we're using is we're using our operating cash whenever we need to fix something. But if we have an emergency, we might run into trouble. So it's a good thing to have, but we're doing okay in that. Let me just see here in terms of special assessment cash. We have in reserve almost $650,000. We add $108,000 to that every month, so that's what we collect from the increase that happened last year. It's sitting in one bank account. We have from the special assessment, so that's the $15,000 that we've all paid. We have 1.425 million sitting in the bank from the special assessment, and it's waiting for the projects. We have to have money right in the bank. When we start a new project, we generally have to put down a deposit. We can't start those until we've got our deposits. So this money is sitting there when we open some of the bids and we go forward, we'll be using that money. So that's what's sitting in the bank. In terms of receivable, we have an interesting story. We have almost 468,000 that's still outstanding. That's 14,000 more than we had last month. But what's happening with all of the recent sales, we got a peek of some information from the numbers for July. With all of the recent sales, they're actually paying what's been owed. So the good thing is that we're going to start to recover that money. And next month, my bet is that we'll have a lot less in receivables. So that's going to be really good. Let me just see what else I've got. I think that's it.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, now we are going to go on to the new.
Yeah, we have to make a motion.
Sorry.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Do we have a second? All in favor of accepting? Aye. Unanimous vote to accept the financial review by our treasurer. First item of new business. Okay. We've had a little bit of an orders change. First of all, I'd like to introduce to all the new people our owner's rep, Georgie Rodriguez. Her company is ACMG. She and her partner, Hector, are supervising and watching over every step of the construction projects that we are undertaking, and there are quite a few. And today we are going to, she's going to review the timeline of the projects and the funding of them. And then we'll go on to opening the bids for the north and south restoration project and the pool.
Just before we start this, I just wanted to say, has everybody been reading the latest articles about all the problems with condos, right? Okay, so what happened about 2 years ago is we started working on this project, right? So that we were ahead of the game. And by adding Georgie and having her work through this, we actually are ahead of the game from what you're reading. So whenever you read about companies that don't, or organizations that don't have any engineers or any contractors to do any work, Georgie's been working with us how long now? ACMG, 2 years now, to get this underway. So we were lucky that we started a little bit early on that.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
Here's
you very
Georgie.
much.
Thank you. So, for those of you that are new to the building, thank you for coming to these meetings. We will do this monthly. Welcome you to the community of the Cricket Club. And I'd like to start up with, now that we got through the cash assessment, kind of 4-year plan, and how we got there, and the hopeful, full of year of work and progress with the rest of the community on the monies needed, projects assessed, together with a group of engineers that's assisting us in the process. The community has made their first payment. So the first question is, how is our money gonna be managed? Where is that money gonna be paid? So I wanna make sure everybody understands what we, as your owner's rep, or ACMD has developed to track where your monies are gonna go, when are they gonna go there, where have they been spent, and you guys can request, this is documents, the same way you request documents from Jackie, these are public records, and this is something that's gonna be updated monthly. So this is just a summary of how this is gonna be kept, and you can also compare this to the budget that was done per project in the last 2 years. And basically what we're looking forward to do is to keep a balance and a QA/QC from both ends. From the board to us, from us to the engineers, from the engineers to us, and all the way to the contractor, to understand where all the monies are going to. So we don't have to wait a year from now, like it's happened in the past, for you guys to ask, what was paid? Where did it go? I'm gonna show you how we intend to track it. And usually in construction, we use something that is called the Gantt chart, okay? And that's exactly how we're gonna track it here. So basically, everybody has how the budgets were developed in the past 2 years together with engineering assistance, and how we got to proposed estimate budgets, okay? I'm only showing here 5 specific projects which are in progress right now. There's a lot of more projects that are coming ahead in the next 3 years, but we're not there. So basically, some of the line items will be blank because they haven't been assessed. So to start up with, I'd like to bring up the parking garage. And this is the document that's gonna stay in-house as well as ACMD, and it gets updated monthly. So the initial phase of the parking garage was the assessment. We all know that was done with Mr. Mueller. So we're showing the investigation phase is 100% completed, the date that it was started, how many days it took, and how much we paid him for it. Okay? And then after that investigation was done, Mr. Mueller performed the design phase, which is the preparation of the drawings and the construction docs that went out to bidding. I know some of you are new, but the rest of the community has been through the whole process with us in the last 2 years. The design phase was 100% completed. This is when it was started. This is about how many days it took, and this is how much we paid him for it. So you guys will know exactly how much was paid. And by the way, this matches the budget that was prepared because we did it with contracts in place. Bidding phase. We are 100% completed with the bidding phase on the parking garage. This is when it was started. This is how long it took. This is how much we paid Mr. Mueller for it. So we're always going to have a column of how much is going into that project that balances out the budget that we all went through with the spreadsheets. Bid opening and negotiation for the parking garage. That was done last year. It's 100% completed. This was part of the bidding phase, so that's why you don't see a value next to it, because it was included. Peer review is something that we added. A second engineer was engaged. He's also a structural engineer and civil engineer. His name is Angel Maestre. He's doing a value engineering to have a second set of eyes on Mr. Mueller and see if there's any opportunity or any specific lines that we can do some sort of savings. Peer engineering is taking place right now on the documentation from parking garage. We just finished retaining Mr. Maestre. He received a set of documents. The project has not started. We're giving him approximately 30 days to come back with some input. If we can do any savings at all, even on the submittals or materials that are being used that have been proposed by the engineer of record, which is Mr. Mueller. We're not looking to do this to replace your EOR, but we're looking to have this as a second set of eyes overseeing what ACMG and Mr. Mueller are doing on your behalf. Selection of contractor. Selection of contractor was done in this room on June 11th. This is when we informed the contractor that they have been awarded the project. It's 100% completed. If you see here for Maestra, it's 30 days. So what happens on this chart that it gives us a timeline as to when we expect completion. So on our next meeting, this phase should be completed. It should be at 100%, and we should see how much we pay Maestra for that. So we keep track of the expenses, in addition to whatever management is doing. Contract review, legal. This is where the garage contract is at right now. It's with legal department. All these line items were anticipated for each project that was assessed to either meet the SURS, the milestones, or the 40/50. Every project, you guys remember, if people, we kept on saying, it's too expensive because every project has a different set of skills for professionals that is needed to make it from point A to point Z. So in this case, where do we stand in the parking garage? It's on the contract review. It's at 65% because we're reviewing it with them. We expect completion within 60 days. And that's the timeline that shows for that. How much are we paying Haber for that? The number is not here because we have not paid that bill for them yet. But it's budgeted in the estimates of the overall at around $10,000. Dry run permitting. We initiated this because most of you already know and are familiar that we had a violation in the garage, which we received an extension for. We worked closely with the department. The extension was granted pending that the permit was submitted for approval. And my partner has been working with them on the dry run. Dry run means that we submit for permit review, we get a permit without a contractor. When that contractor legal contract is issued, then they take over the permit, but we don't waste time waiting 3 months to then start a permitting. We'll be ready with permit. As of yesterday, correct, Hector? The permit has been reviewed and approved. So all that is pending for the pool, I apologize, for the pool. We're talking about the garage. But for the garage, let me have a...
So the only, and hi everyone, I'm Hector with ACMG. So the only pending discipline to approve the parking garage permit is structural, okay? Originally there was about 5 or 6 structural comments, which is minimum. We got 3 addressed and approved. There was still 3 pending. 3 of which, to me, the way the comments were structured were confusing. So in order to stop an extensive back and forth and extend the permitting for months to continue, we set up a Zoom meeting with the reviewer, whose name is Nelson Walters. He's a very nice individual, and he's a structural reviewer from Miami-Dade County. We set the meeting for Monday. I did that Zoom with him. We went comment by comment. We met in the middle. He clarified everything that he wanted, and specifically how he wanted the structural engineer, Mr. Mueller, to illustrate those comments on the drawings. Mueller has been notified of those changes per the meeting with the reviewer, and then once we have that from him, we'll upload it, and hopefully after that review, it'll be our final review process and it'll get approved. Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but just so that we could be ahead when Georgia gets there. For the pool restoration, which we're also going to open the bids today, that permit has had all disciplines approved, okay? There's only one pending approval, and that's DRYN, which is dry run, okay? That release doesn't get removed until we open the bids, a contractor gets selected, a contractor gets under contract, and then that permit or that processing number can be transferred to that contractor. But then again, we're ahead of the game on that because a permit is already pooled, essentially. It's just transferring it over to that contractor.
And if I may add to that, in addition to providing you guys with an update and informing and us reporting to the board, okay, what is happening behind the scenes, like I like to call it, we need to provide all this information to the department that's giving us the violation, which is the reason why we're being able to get extensions and not have daily fines, which is a good thing on our behalf. So we keep that department informed on the pool, as well as the health department, as well as the building department. So we're keeping everybody in the loop as to the progress. And so far, we've been successful at avoiding daily fines implemented, which is a huge savings for all of us. So what I'm trying to stage here, this is how every project is going to be formatted. This is going to have monthly updates. What's going to happen is that once the contract is finalized, okay, we're gonna extend it and we're gonna have the contract amount and we're gonna add monthly what we're paying the contractor. What does that mean? Per on pay-ups. On pay-ups with verifications of quantifications on site. This is exactly how we did east and west. Perhaps we did not break it into this phasing to show everybody because of the circumstances into how we engage into east and west. But now we have an opportunity to be proactive, so the community can always see monthly how much money is being paid out to the contractor. Everybody will be able to do the addition, simple addition, and know that we are on point with the monies, that we're not going over, that we're not paying more, and if we have any credits at the end, it would also be shown here, because every pay-up is gonna reflect here. So if we can move on, this is the parking garage. So this is one today that was already open, it's on the contract review, permit is almost to be ready to be pulled. So this project, as soon as the contract is ready, which I have here that we must have it ready 60 days by September, the mid-September, that means we need to get together with the parking committee at that point and establish the phasing into how this project and the vehicles and moving the vehicles and how many phases that's gonna be done in. So that's coming very soon. This project will kick off, we're thinking end of September. Let's go to the next one. Terry, can you
I have a question.
move me to the next one, please?
Yeah, next question. Was specific to that section.
You may.
Good afternoon, my name is Alex Guthrie,
Here, please come and take a look.
Thank you. Name and apartment, please.
Alex Guthrie, 1811. So on the garage, when you get this done, Hector, how long before the cloud comes off the deed? The cloud comes off the deed, which
Well,
is what's holding, a lot of.
When it's
financing.
complete.
Yeah,
When it's complete.
when it's.
Well, when the project is completed.
When the project's.
Because this, just so that I can clarify even more, we had to do a meeting, a hearing with the city in order to request the extension. Miami-Dade issued an agreement that went back and forth with their attorneys and our attorneys, and we finalized that they will give an extension pending that we submitted the dry run, which is in progress now, and the project will be finished for them to remove the cloud, okay? And that's gonna be the same condition, sir, for the pool. Okay, we have two issues right now in the property, and it's the same condition for both. Okay, so now we have the pool restoration. Again, the facing repeats itself. We follow the same facing for every project. Investigation was 100% done, design phase was 100% completed, bidding phase was 100% completed. Bid openings, negotiation tabulations is 100% because we're opening them up now. So we haven't opened up the bids. Once the bids are open, then we're gonna engage into negotiations, tabulations. We open today, that's all we do. We don't select, we have to review that, we have to prepare tabulation, make sure the numbers, the math adds up. We have to show it to the engineer, they need to do their homework, so do us, and then we come back and we say this is everything how it came up to. We can do a comparison. We can decide as a community if they want to be interviewed, if we need to negotiate, we can come back, if we can select from 1 or 2 vendors to come in, the same way we've done it before. So it follows the same process. If you see here, contract negotiation and permitting, we have a processing number here. This is what Hector was mentioning before, that the pool has been fully approved. It's just pending for the contractor to be selected, go to contract negotiations, and the pool project will be underway. On the same hand, I have informed Caitlin, which is the lady from the health department, that we already have this approved. I know you submitted already the permit app, so we have a list of violations for the pool. Management, Jacqueline and ACMG have been working together with the health department, in addition to the building department, addressing each of the violations. One of the things they asked for was the tiles and the repairs that had to be done in the pool. We told them we're not gonna do Band-Aids. That project was already underway with this particular project. So we were not gonna spend double money. So we asked for an extension for that reason. And again, when we get to that, we're gonna have mobilization pay-up. Pay-up 1 is usually the first one. Contract amount, we don't know what those bids are like. We're gonna open them today. Once we finalize a contract price with a contractor, it's gonna go here, and again, every payment will be reflected. And if you see here, I'm also putting in how much we pay the engineers to do what they did so far. So we're gonna try to be as open and as clear, so instead you guys can request this, and this comes together with their contracts and proposals. So there's a contract for Mr. Mueller that adds up to this amount that was already paid for. North and south facade, we have 5. I'm listing only 5 because those are the 5 that are ongoing right now. Parking garage and pool were critical because they had violations, so that's why they take priority. North and south facade, now that we've finished east and west, again, an assessment, design phase, and bidding phase is what has been completed for north and south. The bid opening and negotiations is gonna take place today. Everything else is on 0% because we haven't done, it's not on peer review, the bids haven't been opened, they're gonna be open now, but everything will follow the same sequence. Can we go next? Boilers. The boilers room. We received approximately about 7 months ago, we received 2 violations for the boilers. To the point that one of them was critical, and I don't know if everybody remembers that we shut down the hot water from Friday to Saturday on the weekend, okay, because it was missing a safety valve. That was resolved and is operating, but they are at the end of its lifetime. So CH4B is your MEP, he's a mechanical engineer. He engaged in assessing replacement of the boilers, the whole system, the electrical part of it, the hot water that comes with it. Anyways, the project has been assessed. Mr. Mueller assisted in creating the stands so that they're gonna be tankless, by the way, so they don't sit on ground. If you guys notice the room right next to here, the parking garage, that you have to go down the stairs. You know, every time it rains, it floods. So the systems are very corroded. So we're trying to find a system that sits on stands, and that's what they worked on. So the longevity of the system lasts longer. So this is what both engineers, your mechanical engineer, the team and your structural engineer worked on. The set of drawings as of today is now complete, okay? It was under final review, and it should go for bidding now by next week. So what does that mean? It's gonna go for bidding. We're gonna request for sealed bids to come in to management office, okay? And that's, whoever has worked or works with the public systems understands that sealed bids are the best way to get a system in, okay? We want to avoid the mistake that happened back with AOE, that everybody sent emails in with proposals and everybody could see numbers ahead. I don't wanna know numbers ahead, nobody should. The numbers come in sealed, we open them up. If they're too high, we go back with questions, we negotiate, and we find who the best bidder is. But we do not accept anything open or disclosed that allows me to see something ahead of time and disclose it with somebody else. We disclose it here together. So, boilers is at a stage now, if you see here, this is what has been paid, by the way, to those engineers, and is now gonna go for bidding. When we continue to do the next phases, the community is gonna see the percentage of completion as we go along. I know you have your hand raised, and I allowed one question from this gentleman, so I don't want to ignore you.
Connie Danwood from 1603. I would like to know who and how you are invited to bid.
Connie Danwood from 1603.
Mhm.
I would like to know who and how you are inviting to bid.
Well, the engineers are the ones that have, the main ones that have a roster of contractors that are known in the industry. In addition to that, we ask management if they have a roster of contractors that they also like to invite. In addition to that, ACMG runs about 30 buildings right now, and we have a roster of contractors. So I would love to have 10 or 15. Unfortunately, that's not realistic because a lot of people that are already compromised, they're turning it down. So we have 3 different sources that we go to for a roster of contractors that have the liability, infrastructure, cash flow, and experience to run something like this, and are usually bondable. So that's how the roster of the list comes in. And how they invite it, it comes directly from the engineer. It's an invitation to bid. Whoever is familiar with construction documents understand that it's something called invitation form, invitation to bid, and that has specifications on what needs to be followed with a time and a date that we meet on site and we go through the project. It's called pre-construction meeting. So that's how it's attended to. That's for the boilers. Let's go down to the chillers and the risers. This one is a nice one. This community has been, for years, making a lot of complaints of how hot it is. They change their AC units, they change their fan coils. They go from 2 tons to 4 tons, and nothing has worked. So we've done through a thorough assessment. We've been to every single one of your units. We have a complete recording of every fan coil on every unit that we've had access to, and thanks to your engineering team, we've had access to 99% of your units. So CX4B, which is the mechanical engineer responsible for this, made a whole assessment. We even went back and we were able to get the archive document from Miami-Dade County. 1,786 pages were on the archive from original documents for Miami-Dade to show us that this building was always meant to have 3 chillers, and it only has 2. So it's not that your fan coils are incorrect, it's that the building is under capacity. So it doesn't, and I'm not the one stating this. This is actually on our report. We've shown pictures, we've shown a report. Feel free to request those reports from management. This goes back to the whole work in progress that has taken place in the last 2 years. So for those of you that are newcomers and new owners, please feel free to ask for those. But the report comes directly from your mechanical engineer. Building is undersized, is working on 2 chillers. Doesn't matter what you do, you're under capacity. So right now, there's 3 options that he's proposing to do. We're trying to finalize which, together with the structural engineer, which one is more cost effective, okay, for the community, and which one will be best, okay? So somehow we're gonna add a 3rd system in. We're gonna alleviate the common areas. That's the intent. We're gonna remove the capacity from this 2, add it to a 3rd unit. That's the primary idea, so that the 2 units that are now serve properly the AC throughout the building, and then we leave 1 for the common areas. This has taken a long time. It has been a comprehensive study just to determine what is wrong with it, instead of just putting Band-Aids on it, okay? So at this point, when your fan coils, you add 3.5, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be more efficient, because the whole building is under capacity. So where are we today? This is not a project for the future. At this point, we're getting very close to determining, when I say very close, I say within the next 45 days to finalize which option is best as far as timing, longevity, long-lasting, and cost from the 3 options that he proposed. As soon as that's accomplished, we're going out for bidding, because we're ready to go. So we have on our deadline to have that ready by September. Okay, September 25th. We're hoping to be on the bidding phase. And then obviously from there we have 60 days. Our target is to have that system already ready to mobilize and go early next year. Obviously, it all has to work together and parallel with people paying and funding, but so far it seems like things are moving along pretty good. So that's the plan.
And may I ask a question? Okay, so we're talking about chillers, that's chillers. The risers, and for the new people who don't know, the risers also were identified as having a contributing hindrance to our quality of...
I strongly suggest the new owners, so that we don't hold back all the explanations we made in the past, I strongly suggest the new owners to request the presentations and photos that have been provided by the engineer as well as ACMG that shows the corrosion on the risers, the leaks into the units, the leaks into the corridors, and the reason why they need to be replaced, or at a minimum, that's the recommendation from the engineer. So you Band-Aid one and you replace the chillers, your risers are still leaking, we're not going anywhere. So just to give you an idea, strongly recommend, there's a lot of work that has taken place in the last 2 years to get here where we are today. Okay?
So to
I'm
just,
sorry.
all right, so to elaborate a little bit more. We have asked everybody to clear out their closets that are outside in the hallway, because we're in anticipation of a possible use of that space versus tearing up inside the unit itself where the existing
Well, to
riser.
not tear up, so that we can abandon the system that we're in. So if we think about construction when you mobilize, okay, and you have to remove, first of all, we need to leave a system running because we're not gonna leave everybody here without AC for X amount of time. So we need to have a plan that you can leave a system running, even if it's halfway running, until the new system is already installed and it's ready to do a shutdown and a switch over. So typically you abandon one system, so that way we avoid, there's no reason to spend all this money in removing and throwing out when you can abandon it. So the best way and best access is to access your hallway closets. And we can run the lines, and then basically you just have to tie it into your units. Most of your ACs are at the entrance of the unit, okay? So it minimizes destruction inside your unit, okay? Exactly, downtime, we can run everything and we just do a shutdown and shutdown of the previous system and turn over, hold on ma'am. And that way, we also eliminate the cost of removal. And we only focus on the cost of installation. So we're looking at everything that we can do to hopefully bring this as low as possible, but we need to understand that you need a third chiller and your risers need to be replaced. This project is one of the largest projects that we're gonna intake. You guys have been waiting long enough. We have on our schedule to get this project moving by January. Am I gonna be off a couple of weeks? Absolutely. Because you have holidays in December. Most people shut down for a couple of weeks, but I still have to have a set on date. And then we work from there. And then we stretch it a couple of weeks, but everybody needs to have the picture of where we're going and when do we expect to get there. This is why we did the way we did the breakdown of the cash assessment. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, my name,
Hold on, Mrs. Cole.
My name is Susan Goldfarb, and I live in Penthouse 1. Are you telling me that the engineer has come into each unit and has decided that we are all fine with our air conditioning within the unit?
That's not what I explained. What I explained was that in order for the engineer to do a complete assessment, he needed to know fan coils, year, a model number, size per unit, in order for him to do a proper investigation and assessment of the capacity of the whole building and compare that to the existing system that we have. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I would like you to know that for the last 2 months, I have no air conditioning in my home, and I've talked with several friends of mine who are in the same condition. We have no air conditioning, and we've had wonderful friends that have lent us some air towers.
The portable ones.
Yeah, but I am an old lady and I need to breathe.
Absolutely.
And I cannot breathe in my bedroom because I don't have air.
And because of that situation that you're going through, and we heard that from multiple unit owners about 8 months ago, it wasn't about, oh, just get a larger AC, because that's not where the problem lay. So all this assessment is finally behind us. We're at the stage, ma'am. I'm so sorry you're enduring that. We're at the stage right now of about to go to bidding. Again, the project is about to begin in January if we continue at the pace that we're moving, and hopefully we can resolve the issue for everybody. You know, by next year we're gonna see some progress.
Well, I may not be around by then, but it
Oh,
would be a
don't
good
say
idea.
that.
It would be a good idea for the engineer to come to my apartment, because I don't remember him ever coming into my apartment
Because
to
he
see
went-
what my, I have 2 air conditioners, because I live in the penthouse.
He did not check your unit to see how your unit worked. He checked the models and age of every unit to do an assessment for the building.
Did he do it coming into the apartments?
We went with the engineer. Your engineer, the building engineer, has to go to the apartments to replace the filters, correct? Okay. And that's the time that was used to handle, okay, and write down your unit, your AC unit, and document that to give enough information to this engineer to be able to backtrack and do a whole assessment.
Then I would like to see the paper where it's written down that he was in my apartment and that he knows exactly what
Correct.
units I have.
Okay,
Correct.
not a problem. We'll be able to give that to you on the spreadsheet that was prepared by him, absolutely.
Very quickly,
PH1.
please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sit there, man, Jeff. Stay here.
Excuse me, I think this is not really a town hall meeting.
Yeah.
I know.
We're trying to get,
What we've heard is that some people don't think we looked at their.
Pardon me, yes, some people don't think we looked at. I'm telling you, I am there every time they come to change the filters, they never measure anything, they never.
No, that's not.
Wait a minute, and nobody came into my apartment, I also have 2 units, and I know that nobody came into my apartment because we always have people,
Okay.
unless they came in the last month.
So, it wasn't done in the last month, if I may. And this is not a town hall meeting, but I always like to speak to you guys. And that's the reason why I take the questions. So please, this that I'm expressing, if we're ready for bidding and such a huge investigation was done, this was taking place at the beginning of the year. And we're already in August. Now, we have in our hands the documentation that shows what every unit has. You can request it from management. They'll be happy to provide it to everybody. And if you have a question on that, then you ask it at that time, please. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and so does Nikki. Okay.
Let me ask you, Stacy's question. So who's asking the question? I get to ask the question, okay. The first question I had about the cloud, that, can you hear me? That Alex asked. Is that in reference to the violation that we have?
Yes.
So the violations get cleared when we're completed the projects,
Correct.
right? Okay, I just want to clarify that one. The next one is when we're talking about, we used to have 2 chillers and we should have 3. My understanding is, because I just got a new one, is that people have just decided how big they are, because I was gonna be a big honking one in my apartment, so it was nice and cool, right? But when people do that, it makes more pressure on the system and it makes us not be cool enough, right? So we have several units that have decided to put in bigger units instead of what was there, and that has put pressure on the system. And all of those things have contributed to the fact that we're not cold right now. And as far as Susan and having no air conditioning, that's because that board was not working, and right now we're only running on 1 chiller. So when is that board supposed to be put in? Yep. Oh, we have, okay. Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, this is what's happened with the chiller that's running, that was broken. It broke inside and little metal pieces have gone through that system, which is causing the next problem. And that happened some time ago, but we didn't have any choice but to run it because we didn't have any AC. So there's 2 problems with your AC that people aren't getting cool right now. And one is that we don't have 2 running, so we're only running on 1. And the other one is the one that's not running has little pieces of metal in it, so we have to fix that problem so that we get them up. Nope.
So you're supposed to have 3. Let me start off by that. Originally with the building, hold on, Gustavo. The building came with 3. I don't know when one of them was removed.
They replaced when they took the 3rd one out, they put a new one in that was big enough for the 2.
Supposedly.
That was the thinking at the time.
Supposedly, but the calculations do not add up right now, done by the engineer. So a 3rd system needs to come in. So right off, you're not gonna have the same cooling, right? Now, one out of the 2, one of them is broken, and we're only surviving on 1.
And not only that, we only surviving on 1. We surviving on the small one. The big one is the one that is damaged, so it affects more the system. We're running the whole building with a small chiller, It would be the small one, maybe we have a little bit more capacity, but with the small one running, it's difficult to have everybody fully. It's not gonna go down the whole school system.
And this project involves new children, okay? Not repair what's already wrong. It's new children. In addition to, exactly, no, the weather is not helping at all. But it's not,
But the other
the
thing,
project,
but the other thing was that people were told in 2019 that we put a new one in, but we didn't put a new one in, right? We've gone and we rebuilt it, but we did not put a new one in, even though people are running around going, we put a new one in, what's wrong with you guys? We didn't put a new one in. That, they do need to stop doing
I
that.
walked in the door, it said $7,000.
Yeah.
And I see Rickon out there every single day changing another one out.
Yes.
People need to stop doing that.
but we try to say that, okay? Because that's the reason why. Now, remember, how long it's gonna be on the next meeting? Because it depends which option we go for. And then one of the options that we're gonna propose is gonna try to, see if we can go through the hallways instead. If we're gonna do the system on the roof, there's a lot of variants, different, options that we have that would impact the timeline. That's why I'm not being specific with you on that today. So I would have that answer for you on our next meeting. Before we go to bidding, we expect to have at a minimum option decided, why, cost, and timeline would be a big factor.
And then a while ago, we suggested everybody get those AC towers, right? The portable ones. They were on sale at Osco for $349 a while ago. So you should go get one.
So we do have a question on that.
Well, I just want to get a clarification. For those people who are moving in, we're talking about age of ACs, okay? Originally, it was a 3-ton in the apartments, excepting the rotundas, which had 2 units. One was a 3-ton, one was a 2-ton. That's the fan, that's our responsibility as owners in the units. If you've purchased, and there are old units, and you want to, redo your apartment, now's the time to do that, no question. But if you think that replacing the AC, as Georgie and Nikki pointed out, is going to resolve your issue, it's not. But it will avoid your having to tear apart your foyer and everything going down the future after you've redone the nice decor the way you wanted it.
Just keep in mind that one of the things that we're gonna approach next, okay, will be our electrical inspection, which serves for the 50-year recertification. And the mandate is that the engineer, we will come with the engineer to every unit. There's a scanning that has to be done of every panel. We have to make sure it's not overheating. We have to make sure that it's in the right location. And he's not gonna sign off on any 50-year unless both of those things take place. So we take that very seriously. And when the time comes, okay, we will send notices and we will come into every unit, okay? And that's also a big factor when you change your fan coil. Because when you do that, and if your actual panel is not up for capacity, that could also affect what you're putting in. So you need to keep that in mind.
Can I just say one other thing is, we have several units that have not given their key for those little rooms outside, the little lockers, right? And we can't get all this work done. Okay, but we need to have the house key, but we need to have the key for the locker because we need to be able to get in there. So, we do, but the association has to have access to them. We have to, yes, but some owners are unlocking it for us, but not letting us have access.
Well,
We need a key
primarily,
for both of them.
Nikki, what we want to accomplish is a community understanding that any delays caused by that will only delay the project progress. And we're not ready to mobilize, but by the time we are, I don't want them to spend 2 months trying to get access and keys and emptying closets. We want to be ready. So by the time we mobilize and we have a timeline for that project and a schedule, we can follow it. There's 2 good things about that project. Weather will not impact because it's an interior job. So we can be on the go with that. Anyways, if we can, I'm sorry, one more, that's it.
There's a question online.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Gotham Therapy 1608. Quick question on two things. The data that was presented and the Excel file. For projects this size, can more intermediate milestones with their costs be put in? Because I think the milestones are way too broad and may not give us a better idea there. The second part is, in future, as we go forward, can the actual spend versus the budget for each of these projects be also reflected on the Excel file that's shown?
Yes, but what I'm reflecting here is not a budget, it's actually fees paid, and the columns say that. Budget was what we prepared for the cash assessment. This is what you can compare against our budget. This is no longer an estimate. What's gonna go on this Gantt chart is actually the cost. What's gonna go on that pay application is actually what gets paid to the contractor. It's no longer a budget when it comes here, okay? Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, so basically, Terry, I think we made it. Okay, so chillers is the last one. So we have 5 projects right now in progress. We have chillers, boilers, pool, parking garage, north and south. Okay, they're all together, are components to meet, they all add up, right? In addition to them being needed, we would also be meeting milestones. This is the reason why these projects are, when the milestone comes, when the report comes in December, they're gonna be either in progress, you're already reserving, but you're not reserving for this, because when this is completed, it kicks from point 0. So by the time it's due again, you have the monies on your bank. Anyways, we're not gonna open the bids for the pool, and we're gonna open the bids for the north and south, okay? We're only gonna open the bids today. We're not gonna discuss who's better or worse, because we don't even know what we're gonna open. So let's write the numbers down, we'll reconvene again with the engineer, we'll do tabulations, and then we'll come back. Hector, you wanna help me with that?
Good evening, everyone.
We already opened those. The contract is in negotiation with the lawyer. We opened those
So good evening, everyone. As Georgie mentioned, we'll be opening the bids for the north and south and the pool. I'd like to give a brief idea of what's encompassed in the scope of work that we're going to open now. Again, as Georgie mentioned, tonight is not to make a selection. This takes us into the next phase, which is tabulation, which these bids need to get sent to the engineer of record, in which he tabulates the bids, finds discrepancies and issues amongst the bids, and then we go back to the contractors for clarification, okay, in order to arrive to a final number in which the board can make an educated selection on who will get the project. Now, the pool restoration bids, as Georgie mentioned, will take care of violations from the health department regarding perimeter tiles on the pool and some spalling. This will also take care of the underside of the pool. Okay, the underside of the pool has a lot of concrete spalling and delamination that the engineer inspected. Okay, so a lot of, I want to say 90% of the work that's in this scope of work, you will not see the workers day to day because they will be under the pool. Okay, if you all are familiar with the property, there's about a 6-foot crawl space or an 8-foot crawl space under the pool, and that's where all the work will take place.
Just so everybody understands, one of the items that was added to the scope of work, when we came to the pre-construction meeting and we're under the crawl space of the pool deck, okay, we noticed, the engineer noticed, and if you guys can just, your head in there, you can see it. Apparently there has been previous repairs or work done in the past, okay, and it's filled with debris. It's filled with debris, concrete, pieces of stuff that was never removed. Okay, so one of the items that was added as an alternate, just to have the option of cleaning that up, was added to the pool bids. That's the reason why an extension for bid submittal was issued by the engineer. Because there was so much stuff in there that it's even impossible to work under there like that. So cleaning that area was added to the schedule of values. I believe it was added as an alternate, right? So we check how much it's coming in for, and we decide if it's something that we can afford, if it was part of our budget. So if Hector reads a number outside from the lump sum number, and by the way, the schedule of values was developed by the engineers I explained before, and it has mobilization, demobilization, hurricane or whatever repair details is included in the drawings for these bidders to come through.
So the first contractor, just so everybody has an idea, the bids are required in that instruction to bid that Georgie mentioned. We require that they submit their bids in a sealed envelope to the management office, which then gets transferred to this room to be opened. So the first contractor is Bengoa, just so everybody has an idea. At this pre-construction meeting, I believe we had 5 contractors show up. 5 contractors out of the 7 that we requested to come in for a pre-bid meeting in order to bid this project. Okay, from the 5, 3 submitted. Okay, out of the 5, one of them did formally send us an email that his firm was over capacity in work and could not take on this project at this time, and he did it respectfully. He didn't just simply not turn in a bid. Okay, so that's something to note. I know we asked about the bidding. We could invite 10 bidders, but the way of how saturated the market is right now with a lot of buildings taking on 40, 50 year recertifications, we see it on the news every day. A lot of companies are either turning down projects or don't bother to go bid because they have work for the next 4 to 5 years, and that's the truth. Okay, so the first bidder we're gonna open today is Bengoa Construction. Again, Bengoa submitted their bids in a sealed envelope, and we're gonna open it now.
This is for the pool.
You have qualifications on this?
And by the way, anybody that wants to see the schedule of values, especially for the new owners, because it has always been available, just ask management for the set of construction documents.
So what I'm gonna mention here is just gonna be the lump sum figure at the end, so everybody has a general idea of where this contractor is with pricing. For all of you to know, especially the ones that have been here during a bidding process before, once this gets tabulated, we may have discrepancy as one contractor putting in how much his bonding fee is gonna be, and the other one just putting it as a percentage. So at the time of the lump sum add-on, there's a difference there because of the format in which they presented it, okay? Okay, so Bengoa Construction Group has this at a total base bid of $446,594.54. Again, that's $446,594.54. I've seen briefly, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. They have a note of seeing the qualifications, so everybody knows to every bid, you see that there's many pages in here, right? There's a page that's called your qualifications, okay? Not only looking at the figures, but we have to really go down and read those qualifications, because they may say, yes, my stucco price on the bid sheet is $30, $25 a square foot, but I'm limiting it to this material or this section, regardless of what the engineer requested. So that has to be also thoroughly reviewed by the engineering firm and go back with questions. So again, that number, just for the sake of being clear, is $446,594.54, and that's Bengoa Construction.
We're writing the numbers down. When this is all completed, okay, ACMG adds on there the contingency that is always clear to have, in addition to the inspections from the engineer. So we have a true picture of that cost, which goes into the chart again, okay, and the project management. All of that gets added into this project, into this cost, but I think we're under what we estimated.
So the second that's just one thing. Let's go through. So the second firm is Paradigm Construction Group. Many people in the community are familiar with them. They did the east and west restoration, and they're in the contract phase for the parking garage. So this is how Paradigm Construction Group presented their bid. Again, these firms are very reputable. They don't just present their bids on a piece of paper and just throw it in a folder. They have marketing, they have presentability. Okay, so the base bid, which is an apples to apples comparison to the number that I mentioned from Bengoa, would be $403,250. Again, that's $403,250. I would like to know that on the second page, which is not part of the base bid, it's that alternate that Georgie mentioned in cleaning out the bottom of the pool, Bengoa had it as a C qualifications item. They did not have a price. We have to refer back to that page that I mentioned to see what's their detail on pricing that. Maybe they priced it by cubic foot and they give us that detail. Maybe they're not pricing it at all for X amount of reasons and they're giving us that. Paradigm.
Those are the details that we come in with the next meeting on tabulations. Okay, if there's any additional sums based on the qualifications, that's up to the alternates that we can select to do or not to do, but we want to know ahead.
So there's essentially 3 items on that second page which are alternates, right? Item 1, which is removal and haul away of all debris from the underside or the accessible area below the pool deck, and they based that at $15,000. Okay, and then there was an alternate that was also added, which is adding 6 inches of fill to the bottom of the pool in order for it to be presentable and also alleviate a little bit of the washout that has taken place there from the leaks above. Okay, and that 6 inches of compacted CA6 aggregate rock on the underside is about $320,000. So these are alternates. These are not things that are mandatory in order for the engineer to give the project structural satisfaction, okay? So the third and final bidder is Promax, okay? Again, another very reputable dealer or vendor or contractor in the industry. Submitted their bid sealed as well to the management office. This is how Promax submitted their bid in their folder. So the folder is a booklet style format where you see incorporated in the folder some of the past work that they've done, a little bit of information about their company, the work that they do. This is their bid inside the folder. So Promax is at $456,074.32. They did bid the alternates. Their alternate price for debris removal is $15,884.88. And then their rock placement for aggregate on the bottom side of the pool is $336,517. And I'll repeat that one more time. Their base bid price, which is what's mandatory by the engineer, in order for him to sign off and get those violations cured and everything that's going on with the pool, that is $456,074.32. And then their alternates for debris removal is $15,884 with 88 cents. And then that bed of rock that I mentioned of about 6 inches is $336,517.15. Yes.
Why wouldn't Bengoa have provided an alternate fee for that same?
Good question. So it could be for many reasons, okay? It could be, maybe they didn't have time to gather that information in order to do that takeoff and prepare that bid. They may have seen it as an unreasonable request for them to calculate, because a lot of contractors do this, and I'm going to be honest. If we go to bidding and this building wanted to rip out the structural columns and redo the entire layout of the lobby, and I know that that's going to be an exaggerated cost, as a contractor, I may not put my takeoff labor into my estimators to even quote that if I see it's going to be so farly unreasonable in comparison to the full structural work of the job. So if you take that into consideration as a contractor reading this, they're saying, okay, The structural work is 450,000, and putting the rock is about 300,000, right? Maybe they didn't want to input that labor in doing that estimating because it does take a lot of time. It could be a million other reasons.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so for this reason, what I'd like to understand, and I'm sure you're probably going to explain it once you start getting into the bids and everything, but what would be the advantage? I mean, what's the life of the correction with the aggregate versus without, so we can make a wise decision?
Yeah, at the time of the tabulation, that's going to be a note that the engineer is going to make in regards to saying, hey, if we do this, this is what I anticipate out of the project. If we add this 6 inches of rock to the bottom, these are the benefits that I see that come with that. And that comes from Mr. Mueller, who's the engineer of record.
If I may, the reason why we're doing this homework ahead is because we don't want to engage with any contractor and then have the idea of what it would cost after. We can eliminate it now. It's not mandated to meet code or the repairs or the certification. It's an add-on item by the engineer to see how much the cost will be. What we don't want is the community not knowing. And if in the future someone asks, why wasn't this done? Well, we added it to the bid, we received cost. It wasn't cost effective to do it, to pay the same amount we're gonna pay for the whole pool, which is what we need to do. We need to clean it, that one I go for, but adding to make it look pretty, we're not gonna have a party down there. So things like that is not for us to decide. We present it, we present every option we can, and then a selection is made.
And wait, I want to add something. It's not that they didn't put any price for it. They put C qualifications. So there's a page here that we have to review that may give us information on that line item and why they didn't put a dollar amount for it. It could be that they wanted to bill that at time and material. It could be that they wanted an additional information before providing that price and didn't have time to give it before the bid due date. So there's a series of things that it could be. Okay. So that completes the pool bid opening. We're gonna move to the north and south exterior facade restoration. Again, we had about 7 bidders invited. We had 5 or 6 show up to the pre-bid, and we had 4 submit bid packets. Why 4? Why didn't we have 4 on the pool deck? Logistically, the pool deck is a little difficult and intimidating because of the work where it needs to take place, right? In the area, the risk for their workers, the liability for the contractor. So there's a series of things on why they didn't maybe bid the pool and they ended up bidding the facade, okay? Again, we'll go in a similar order and we'll leave the 4th bidder who didn't bid the pool for last. So the first bidder we're gonna open again is Bengoa Construction Group. Same format as their previous bid for the pool. Just so that everybody has an idea, when I say qualifications, what does that mean? Right here, you see almost like a table with line items and notes. There's 2 pages of this, okay? And their line item, they're marked 1 through 42. And 1 through 42 should correspond with line items 1 through 42 of the bid table, okay? So they provide a clarification on each individual price that they give out of clarity. And this gets attached to every contractor's contract when executed with the community. So the total base bid for this project is gonna be $6,648,856 with 79 cents. Again, that's $6,648,856 with 79 cents. Now, I want to add something about this bid, okay? And I want to add this for both the pool and the north and south. You guys are very familiar with this. I'm saying this for the people who are new here today. The way that we structure this is that it's not a lump sum. So the price we say here today may not be the final price we pay the contractor at the end of the project, okay? Part of the assessment, the design phase, the investigation that Georgie mentioned in her Gantt chart, that was taken in order to arrive to quantities which are accurate or as close to the quantities that will be used for this project, okay? In East and West, there was a certain amount of quantities allocated for that project, and there was a credit at the end back to the community for quantities or scope of work that was not used. So, very rough example. Let's say the engineer asked for 300 cubic feet of column repair and 2,000 square feet of stucco. Maybe we didn't need that much. Maybe after on-site and field observations and work taking place, we only used 100 and 1,000. So the rest of that never gets billed as part of a payout. That money never touches the contractor's hands because he can only bill the work that he performs and the work that is confirmed by the engineer. Now, that's not to say that if money didn't touch their hand, in order to zero out the contract, he doesn't credit that at the end. Georgie, do you have the figure off the top of your head for the East and West?
If I recall correctly, it was about $169,000 that was not billed by the previous contractor on East and West when they finished because the quantities did not meet what was proposed by the engineer. So they have to be verified, have to be marked, and they have to be verified. Anything outside of that does not get paid. In addition to the construction meeting that we hold here bi-weekly to make sure that nothing goes over budget. So on that particular contract, I believe the contract was for about $2 million. They ended up billing 1.8 something, 1.9, under $169,000. And I'm only mentioning this so that before it was like, how are you going to monitor that? We have already proven that with East and West, it was monitored in a way that we did not pay a penny more. We paid under.
So, did everybody get the number? Or do you need me to repeat it? We're okay? All right. For the sake of staying in order, the next contractor is going to be Paradigm Construction Group. Okay, the figure for this contractor, who's Paradigm Construction Group, is $5,737,630. Again, that's $5,737,630. Again, the engineer needs to go back and perform his tabulation. I see there's certain line items here where maybe accidentally in their formula they left the description empty. Okay, and you could maybe see that here if I lift it up. You see this top section here, how there's two boxes close to my index finger that are empty, the top and the bottom one. Maybe it's difficult to see, but I'm attempting to show you. That gets all brought up in tabulation. The engineer may request this firm to submit it with the description because we want to be sure that the prices that they're giving are allocated to appropriate work, right? And we do that through the description. The next bidder is Promax.
No add-ons. No add-ons.
No.
No.
No. No, we're not doing
so that everybody has an idea, the scope of work for the north and south, and I didn't mention that before and I apologize for that, is very similar to the work, it's not exactly the same for the exception of the windows, than east and west, okay? You know, this is a very large scale project in comparison to the east and west. There's a lot more balconies affected. Every single unit owner is affected, not just east and west facade. So it is an extensive project, and we wanted to bid it out first with what's absolutely necessary to satisfy and certify the building, okay? If you walk out to the north and south, it's really important that we do this project. There's areas of spalling that are obvious, right? Including some emails that we've gotten with pictures of cracks and things like that in people's balconies. So it's very similar to the east and west. You're gonna have waterproofing of the balconies, you're gonna have concrete repairs on the balcony edge, removal of tiles on those balconies that have tiles. There'll be sealant applied where necessary around sliding glass doors and windows to avoid leaks to those areas if there are any noted. Painting of those facades, including the color change to match east and west so that the building can be uniform. This also includes the gatehouse and the perimeter walls. When will this start? George, do you have the answer right there?
We have that to begin on January. We have that project to begin in January. That hasn't been determined yet. And one thing I want to point out is that all the drops are not going to be locked down. You're not going to be locked down from your balconies. We're going to stage it correctly. Remember, how we inherited east and west is not how north and south is going to go. Nothing like that. Okay, if you remember how east and west, it was a disaster. This is not how north and south it's going to go. So it's going to be staged properly. Owners are going to be notified ahead. The same spacing that we did as we worked in east and west. The drops, if we're going to work on one side, south or north, then we're not going to start the other side, because the way companies are, all these companies have a great infrastructure, but I haven't seen one yet right now with the way things are around Florida, that you can have the infrastructure to do north and south simultaneously at the same time and have all the stuff that you need, and it will be just too much of a burden on everybody. So we're gonna do one side first. Which one has not been determined, but it's not gonna be what we went through already.
Okay, and very likely, ma'am, if I'm being honest with you, ma'am, can I answer the question? I'm not familiar with what was done 22 years ago, but if it was a restoration and painting, then the building is long overdue. Restoration. Buildings have to go through restoration every 10 to 12 years, normally. You guys are in very close proximity to the water, that changes that from 8 to 10. So if it was 22 years ago, then it's almost double and a half the time that it should have been. It's more or less, correct. So just to give everybody an idea and also provide you maybe some security from what was done on East and West, there was a huge learning curve, slightly, when it came to shutters, changes in tile heights, adjusting the new shutters or the existing shutters to not be removed and affect those owners, how it happened on the east facade. And I think we accomplished that, to a high rate of success on the west facade, to where almost everybody who had their shutters touched in order for repairs to be performed had their shutters put right back, lubricated, maintained to where they're today in operable and functioning position for hurricane season. So the idea behind this project is to get this done efficiently, at a cost-efficient level, and to stay protected throughout hurricane season, which there was a huge fear of that on East and West when the contractor had decided to remove shutters, not only on East, but on West also, without having work to be completed after that, okay? Now, Promax. Promax total base bid is $7,109,936 with 94 cents. Yeah, exactly. $7,109,936 $109,936.94. Now, the fourth and final bidder that we received for the north and south is Restore Construction Group. They submitted their bid sealed as well. Restore Construction Group. So Restore Construction Group is a bidder who did not bid the pool, but they bid the north and south. This is how they present their bids, again similar to Promax, Paradigm, and Bengoa with their presentability. Sorry, give me 1 second while I get to that page. Okay, so Restore Construction Group has a total base bid of $9,935,274.25. I will. $9,935,274.25.
The budget that we had was $6,182,000. That included the bonding fee, permit fees, SI throughout the project, and PM. So the actual budget that we had for the actual facade for both sides was about 5.8. The rest goes into permit fees, bonding, legal, PM services, and SI services, which is needed for this type of building. So we came in at about 6,182. I see some of them are higher, and so let me tell you something. Restore, whoever knows them, they're one of the largest infrastructure companies that are working, at least down here in Florida. They're really well known. We've managed projects with all these companies at other buildings. So I can say that they're all good companies. The thing is that they do have a lot of work, so they get to, their overhead is either higher, their infrastructure has cost them more money. If they're gonna engage into a project like this, they wanna make more because they already have a lot of work. So there's many reasons where you see, some companies higher than others. Anyways, we just wanted to lock down the numbers, let the community know what those were. The bids remain with management. They scan them, they send them to us, and then we work with the engineer. We'll set up another meeting to do the tabulation, give our pros and cons, and we take it from there. But this is the next step, okay? Thank you so much.
One question. Yes. I live in a rotunda, and the floor has been done in a gray color, which is so bad because I cannot even clean the floor. Now, I had asked Jackie, I think, whether the big balconies will have the same flooring, which is really, if you want to look at the rotunda, please come and look. It's very, very badly done. Or let's say but you can, I have bubbles in there where
and I think it's fair to say, I don't know if people are in this room today who have had complaints about the waterproofing or issues with their waterproofing. If you guys send an email to management, if there's bubbles or there's pockets or there's tangible issues with your waterproofing, please let management know via a picture or an email, and we will go out give us at least 2 to 3 days to come out. I think anybody here who has had a complaint, I know, but give me a second. If you have a complaint about the waterproofing and it's something that maybe was done incorrectly by the contractor, then we will come out to check that. Now, wait, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna answer. So, the waterproofing that is applied, okay, it's a 2-coat waterproofing. Okay, there's a base coat and a top coat. It's Sika 710 and Sika 715 top coat. Now, the top coat has to have an aggregate, has to have sand. Why? Because if we're not allowing to put tile back because of railing heights and condo docks and what you may have it, that is a slip hazard if that sand aggregate is not added. Now, some time ago, the manufacturer provided us cleaning guidelines and things you could do to clean that surface to be efficient as possible. We do understand that it is difficult to clean because if you're used to using a regular mop, the mop is not going to work because it's going to get caught on the sand and the aggregate. So you need to maybe buy something of a brush or a scrubber of some sort. And I know for some people that may be difficult, okay? But the answer is yes. On north and south, the same waterproofing will be applied, okay? The thing is that waterproofing has a great warranty, so that we don't run into this prematurely. We could have been cost effective and put a 5-year system, and then we'll be back in this in 5 years. The system that you have on East and West is a very good system with a very good warranty, and unfortunately it does have an aggregate to avoid you slipping and falling on your balcony.
So let me, hold on, Mauricio, give me a moment, please. So let me add to that. We have found on East and West many units that had not 1 layer, not 2 layers, but 3 layers of tile. What does that cause? It causes a life safety issue with the railing. So now the railings are not meeting height. So this building is has endured a cash assessment that is affecting everyone here. To manage and be able to accomplish crucial projects such as your chiller, your boiler, your north and south, things that are in the maintenance. So, can tiles be added? The engineer checked with the manufacturer, and we can get an answer from him. But bottom line is that we agree that the tiles were not going to be placed because it takes out the height of your railings. Now, that's for another discussion at a later date. We'll be happy to discuss that later. But for East and West, that was the agreement made specifically for those reasons. I'm sorry, Mauricio. We'll address that after, okay? Yes, I'm sorry.
Just a quick question. My understanding now is that since you open the envelopes, you will do the evaluation of all the general conditions of the bids, and then you're going to discuss it with the engineer, and then the board will review everything and make a final decision of which the company is going to be the one that is selected, right? So is the intention of the board to allow this construction committee that is being created to start reviewing this specific first stage, or well, second, because we already approved one, this round of bids? The construction committee is going to start assisting this selection?
Mauricio, and I've been very much in favor of that. As soon as the committee is selected, okay, which we're working towards doing that, we'll be happy to do that. The same way we discussed and looked at all the numbers with the finance committee, the same way I'm going to do it with the construction committee, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be ideal. So my request is that since this is an important contract that we need to sign and select, it is, for the benefit of the community to just make sure that I think the selection of the committee will be fast. Just allowing the new committee, whomever is part of that committee, to participate in this selection. So everybody's feeling comfortable.
We agree, and trust me, we're working towards that. So communication will become.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Good night. Hi. Yeah, I'm João Carvalho from Unit 1908. Hi everyone. My question is just to keep track of some things. So what was the contractor that won the projects on the west and the east facade?
The contractor that did the east and west was Paradigm Construction.
Paradigm. Okay, and the one of the garage?
Yeah.
Which one was, sorry?
The same, Joe. Wait, I can't see you. Oh, nothing, what do you mean? For the garage, yes. Okay,
I
see
right.
you now.
It was also a Paradigm, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and it was also a Paradigm now that did the lowest quotation for the pool, I believe it was 403,000.
We don't know
And
who's
the
gonna be
lowest,
selected.
and the lowest quotation for the north and south facade?
We don't know who's gonna be selected. We only opened the bids today. We have to do the tabulation. He could have a mathematical error, and his addition could be wrong and be more, or be less for the others. So that's the next step.
Okay, perfect. But as for the lump sum that they provided, which was open now on the bids, they had the lowest number.
That is
of
correct.
The 3 proposals in the pool and the 4 proposals in the north and south,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Okay. Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to thank Georgie and Hector for their presentation and all that information. And now we're going to move on, hopefully quickly, to several discussions and votes. The first thing we're going to talk about is the gym, yoga room, and closet usage. And I'd like Carlotta to introduce this issue.
Can you hear me? Okay. So we have a small room in the gym. We have a small room in the gym. It is used by instructors for yoga, aerobics, and someone had actually approached me to do Zumba in that room, which I think is kind of small. But, and they are actually people who come from the outside that are paid by those that take the classes for them. I checked around with some of the other condominiums in the area, and they do receive a minimum fee for those that use the rooms in their condominiums to give the classes. Is there a reason that we cannot also do that? For example, the Zumba instructor, when I spoke with her, Louise, I told her that that room was too small, but she would have to rent this room if she wanted to do that. The flooring is better, etc. And she would do that accordingly. That's something in the back. She hasn't come back to me yet. But how do you feel about the fact that we're making use of that room? Because what it does is, it eliminates, I see you Elaine out of it because I have eyes all over. Well, wait a minute. I just said that in other condominiums, if someone comes from the outside and they're being paid. Okay, so here's what happens. For example, an incident where someone was using that room, a yoga instructor came in, the resident had to leave the room. There has to be a plan where they sign up. Yoga instructor signs up at the office. I'm going to be here 9 to 10. I'm going to be at 10 to 12. People know what's going on. Classes are being held. You can sign up for classes. But you know, our objective here is to use what we have to make money. We have to do something like that, and it benefits us one way or another. We have other opportunities here that we've been discussing in the past as well. But I think that if we're going to bring in more people to use rooms, then they have to compensate us for the use of the room. I can't say to the yoga girl, you can use this room, no problem, because it's going to be a big deal to have the Zumba in here, and everybody's going to come down. She can't use this room. She can't use the reflection room.
I want to clarify.
Oh, excuse me.
We're talking about
Wait a minute.
non-owners.
So, for example, if she had a magnificent crowd and wanted to use the reflection room, she has to rent it. My thing is, we have that room there to use. We have people coming from the outside, they're being compensated for their services. Should we have them compensate us for the use of the room?
We're not talking about people who are residents here who are using the room to teach and stuff like that. We're talking about people that are third-party people that are making money off of all of you, and we're not getting any benefit from their being able to use our space. That's what we're talking about. They're making money. I mean, it's different than if you have a trainer, any trainer or anybody that you're paying for that's licensed and insured, and you register with the office, and it's a one-on-one. That's fine. You're using your space for your benefit, and that's your person to go to. But somebody who's coming here and charging and doesn't live here and is using the space instead of renting a studio somewhere, we're entitled to the same kind of benefit to get a little bit of the whipped cream.
Even if they do live here, it doesn't make sense to me that they wouldn't be charged. Because if I live here, I'm still making a living off of other people's, it could be ownership, right?
You're being compensated for your services rendered to someone and you're using our facility, then you should compensate us for giving you the space in which to do that. I don't think that's a big deal, and as I said, I've checked with other condominiums, and it's a no-brainer for them. They do that all the time. They don't let anybody come in, use a room. What's a reasonable fee? The I don't know, the lease size, $50 per hour is what is standard from the people. What do the people pay here? I don't know. Who takes yoga here or who takes what? Okay, what do they charge per person? $20. Okay. A week? A week? Class?
How many people take the class?
Don't say never, Elaine. I know it's, excuse me. I said, what do each of you pay her per session? Per session. That's a lot of money, and we get nothing.
There are 3 people that take the class, or 4 people. She's doing us a favor. It's our space, and I don't think there should be another charge.
And then she leaves her equipment in our closet.
No, it's our equipment. It's not her. It's the equipment that's in the closet is the building. She brings her own bands and balls and that's right. But I don't think there should be an additional charge.
We're talking about what's fair and equitable for everyone.
Fair is we get to go in and use our room, which is largely vacant, and we have somebody come in and help us live a healthier lifestyle, and I do not believe that there should be a charge.
I know we have one resident who's offering courtesy classes on Thursdays, and she doesn't get paid anything, okay? Okay, but I'm saying, well, we're suggesting that.
I'm suggesting you take back the suggestion.
Wait a second.
We also have an issue where there's a priority. People, residents.
Let Terry talk.
One of the issues that we are running
You can't use a reflection room for this.
One of the issues we are running into is that there's a priority. If there's a class going on and other people want to use that room, if it's not being reserved, and paid for, then anybody should have usage. You can't deny usage during a class unless it's a reserved class. So that's the issue we're trying to up against.
No. Reserved, meaning it's scheduled
Have
and.
a schedule, but that doesn't mean that there has to be money associated. You know, this is our thing for our well-being. Where I came from. All right, we're not gonna have a big discussion about this.
Where I came from, companies came in. There was a very big company from Boca, came in. They organized the classes. We had yoga, we had Zumba, we had water aerobics, and they had a weekly chart. They rented the facilities from us, and we paid a nominal. We were paying $10 a class. All right, and when it's organized like that and sent out to every member, we had 70 people in the pool. Right? But we had a professional company
come in and organize this thing. Why is this done so hokey pokey here?
It's not hokey pokey.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It is. It's very unprofessional. It is.
We're not gonna have an argument. We've gotten now some input. I think we could table this for the moment, and the board will discuss it.
I'll just say,
We're not taking anything away. We're trying to figure out the best thing.
If you need to have a schedule, have a schedule.
All right, I think that is a good suggestion. We'll work on the schedule, but I think we're going to table this discussion. We have okay, one more, Rosa.
My professional view, I'm a professional choreographer. I am dance teacher as well. So everywhere you go, you rent a space and you pay for it. Condominiums, anything, hotels, dance studios. This is the right thing it's the right thing.
Yeah.
You say I agree.
You are
and
an open group for anybody, right? We have 3 people, maybe 4, that show up in 3 years.
Even for private, I consider that.
We have to move on.
Private classes.
Just one thing to consider is that, but I'm just sitting here listening, it sounds to me like a group of friends got together and they like a yoga instructor and they hired her to do their yoga for them.
That's right.
As, just the same as if I hire a personal trainer to come in and work with me.
That's
So
right.
you've got 3 friends and one yoga.
And I think
it's
if-
a little different than you know, a class or somebody coming in.
I kind of agree with you, and I think maybe though the courtesy would be for you guys to at least book it so that other people could have access to the room and know what the deal is. All right, we're going to table this one and discuss this more. The next issue is the room between the tennis courts and the children's play area. Do you want to discuss that, Carlotta?
Oh, yeah. Using that for a children's room.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and to give you an idea that it's, okay, so using it as a children's room and using there's a tennis, there used to be the old tennis room down. Using it as a children's room, it's actually got cleaned up and painted, and it's a pretty nice room, I have to say. We have more children here now than we've had before, and that's a lovely place for them to go. They are not in the budget for this year. However, we've been really lucky to have some residents come forward, and we have a flooring, foam flooring, interlocking floor to be put in, donated. We have the tables for them that the parents like donated. We have a refrigerator donated and a work area donated. So now it's party time. So we already have the first party that's booked for September. Yes, $250 for that room. To rent the room.
15 years ago, downstairs, we went out, we had it after 6 months. They had to close it very fast.
Because of insurance?
Well, what happened down there, it was open for children and teenagers.
Oh, no, I don't think teenagers will do that anymore.
That are the mothers or the fathers who were supervisors.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I wrote an email to you all. I guess I wrote it to the AW. I mean, that's what this insurance service. There's a child accident.
Well, we discussed the fact that there is a waiver of liability that they can sign for that, which is true. Yep. The other thing is basically, if you enter the way this, and there are some parents that are very involved in this. You enter that room, you can see that it's kind of geared to you're not going to get any teenagers in there for sure. It's going to be geared kind of 2 to 8 years old kind of situation. I don't think you're going to have them in there. I mean, no one's stopped them from going in there, but I don't think they will be interested in that, is what I'm saying.
Pool, and I see the kids climbing up. It's not yours, trying to climb up. Is the father sitting there next to him?
Well, we have to enforce
Don't let it
monitor
do it.
for sure.
And that's going to be addressed in the next.
I told him so.
Oh, that has to be. Well, I think
Do we need a motion on this?
We need the
point of this for today was to discuss, one, if you guys are approving it to be a rec room, to move forward, as to rent it out. Okay, but now we're changing it.
Well,
To be
you're
able to be
designating.
rented and designated as a place of rentals for parties. Okay, so what we need from you guys to do is, one, we need a motion to approve this. Two, we need a motion on how much you're gonna be charging. And three, we need a motion on what we're allowing there.
I make a
As
motion.
per, as per, we already reached out to legal, so after tonight, we will go back to legal, because one, we need a rental agreement put into place. We also need to waive our liability from the association. We don't want anything to fall on us. So everybody that comes in, if they're gonna bring in parties, whatever they're doing, everybody has to have a certificate of liability and covering the association and covering any issues that happens for children. So now today, and with the rental thing, we have a pending party, but we have not confirmed with her yet. So and I told them we're not confirming until after tonight. So you guys make this motion today, and then we'll get the ball rolling. We'll follow up with legal, we'll get all the paperwork done, get everything put into place, have an actual rental agreement, and then we can start, I can send it in the newsletter, advise everybody here, this is my area.
Can I make a motion that we earmark or designate that room for children youthful events and charge an amount of $250? Well, it could be for, it could be for. No, it's an afternoon. Right. And look, if.
In the rental agreement, it's going to state that all liability is off of the association. That's why whoever they're bringing in, if they're gonna bring a caterer, if they're gonna bring a bouncers, whatever they're doing, they need to bring in a certificate of liability to follow. That'll cover the association.
The caterer, anybody who comes in has to be insured and licensed regardless. We all know this.
Anybody who comes
Any
in
third.
the building, if there's a slip and fall, our insurance is required.
Always. Yep.
Definitely, there's a maximum.
There's a maximum occupancy.
Capacity for that room. All right, so we're going, let's.
Event space not be used for like employment weather, not parties.
Well, it's intended for rec place. Yeah, the parents could go in there, yeah. But if somebody wants it for a specific purpose, it's a rental.
Just for children. The key will be, it'll be a system where the key will be there, and so the adult has to obtain the key from the front desk, sign it out, etc. But then afterwards, if someone wants to.
Can we get a motion with a second?
If someone, yes.
Yep. Rentable full party.
And for how long? 4 hours, all day? What are we looking at?
Yeah.
I'm just asking the
Yeah,
question.
and then
please.
half a day, whatever, you know.
So 6 hours?
Yeah.
So we have a motion for $250 for 6 hours to be able to rent it with.
With insurance contingent upon the attorneys approving or providing a rental. Okay.
Not just for
All in
children,
favor?
right? I'm just clarifying, not just for children.
Not just for
No, for anybody who wants to rent it. Okay, the next thing on our agenda, we gotta move along here, it's very late, is the parking, valet, and towing. Was David gonna address this? Oh, sorry, oh, wait, well,
Sorry, we're not finished.
sorry, David, we want to revive what they call the grievance committee, because seems to be a whole contingent of people who really do not observe rules in the building, and it's gotten out of hand. They take dogs to the pool, they bring dogs in the bar. So we have lots of rules that are just not being observed, and so now we're going to reinstate the grievance committee. I think we can do this. Let's have a motion to reinstate the grievance committee.
Motion to reinstate the grievance committee.
Second the motion, all in favor. And what is now going to happen is the grievance committee will be consulting with the attorneys to figure out how we can enforce the rules, possibly with fines, whatever we need to do to get some cooperation. We're a community of 220 owners, and we need to really be considerate of each other, and that has just fallen to the wayside. So this is, we've got... we're not announcing names, it's not...
We already had people that applied.
Do we want to announce the names? I was told that they don't want to be known for the moment, so let's just leave it. Okay, now we're going to move on. Okay, sorry. Now, next we're going to move on to the parking committee. Sorry, David. And this is a guy who's worked very hard on a very traumatic subject.
Okay. In the interest of time, I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but I feel like we should go through just a little bit of history, because some of you, especially newer people, we suspended the parking assignments in 2022 for a number of reasons, and one of those was the Integra instruction next door kind of took out the W row. We lost the parking, which is occupied by Integra, which meant that we no longer assigned second car spaces. A letter was sent out in terms of for the assignments, and it was requesting only information for the first car, which meant that the upshot of that was we had absolutely no accounting for how many second cars or third cars or even fourth cars we had on the facility. So the decision was made to not do any assignments for that 2-year period. So we started again this year. It's been a little bit of a rocky experience, certainly for the committee and for some of the residents here. We've completed the assignments, and we met together and we did kind of like what's called a SWOT meeting, which was looking at what went well, what didn't go well, and what kind of changes we'd like to make. So that's kind of the history. Moving forward, the parking committee is appointed by the board of directors. The prospective members fill out CC Club committee application and submit to the board of directors for appointment. The committee is composed of a minimum of 3 members. It can be as high as whatever we want, or however many people apply. And I would like to make that point is that anyone that's interested in the committee, we'd be more than happy to have you work with us. The committee reports to the Cricket Club Board of Directors liaison, which right now it happens to be Nikki. This committee does not set policy of any kind, but we may make recommendations to the Board of Directors, and that's what I will be doing a little later in this report. The problems that we encountered this year were residents turning in registration paperwork late, incomplete, and with the wrong forms. There have been a lot of misunderstandings of having to move back from the current space belonging to the previous owner. There's been some misunderstanding about just the parking rules and regs in general. Residents were not wanting to use valet. That can create problems, and we'll be getting into that. The process was not as smooth as it could be, and we'll refer to subsequent sections of this report to see suggestions for improving. The process of parking assignments that we followed were notices were sent out to unit owners and renters to fill out and return the information packets for the coming year's parking space assignment. Residents submit the required information to the business office before the deadline dates. The committee collects the information packets on the day after the deadline. The committee verifies the information in packets is current and correct. This is tedious. As anybody on the committee will tell you, it gets tedious. A lot of people a number of people not filling out the forms, not giving the information that was requested, giving wrong information. Sometimes I'm thinking right now of one unit that submitted registrations for 2 cars, but the cars are registered elsewhere and they weren't the 2 cars that were being requested. I mean, we have to go through and check all of this. It becomes a matter of security. If we don't know who is parking here, then it's an issue. The committee begins the assignment of spaces for those units, submitting the information packets by the deadline date, and that's done in order of unit owners first, renters second. That's for first cars, then second cars of owners. Well, we're not assigning second cars now. The units are notified of the assigned parking space and the date on which the switch will take place. This year, and I won't go into this in detail, but you should know, and this is on the Building Link site. We have a timeline established and beginning in October. We'll be doing the various activities that you see there towards doing the assignments. We're starting a lot earlier this coming year than we did this year. Now, the situation that we're looking at. We can do the next slide. Okay, this is our inventory. Parking spaces, we have under the garage 184 spaces minus 3 that are leaking, which is useful spaces 181. Uncovered spaces is 139, and it gives us a total of 320 spaces. When you look over with the first cars, we have 180 first cars registered. For renters, we have 17 cars registered. It gives us a total of 197 cars. But we also have to make sure that 220 spaces are assigned for apartments, for the units. We have 220 units. There must be 220 spaces available for 220 units. We also have over, a total of second cars, 95. Then we also have another number of cars in 3 and 4, a number of units with 3 and 4 cars. We are maxed as far as parking is concerned. You know, I mean, it really is beginning to be a serious problem as to if we assign all the second cars, so on and so forth, we have no space. I mean, there's no valet, there's no nothing. So I want you to keep that in mind. I mean, it's fortunate right now because not everybody is here all at the same time. So you see spaces available in the garage, spaces down the side, that's okay. But if you look, I'm going to go into a little thing on Saturday night. I don't know if any of you were around. Coming back to the building around 11 o'clock, there were several units that had parties. But they weren't major, huge parties. They were maybe 8 people, 7 people, 6 people. But if you get a number of units here in the building that are having small get-togethers, and it's maybe only 3 or 4 cars per the unit, they're adding collectively a lot of cars out there for the valet to deal with. So I just want you to be aware of this and cooperate. You know, we're asking for people's cooperation. You know, if you are not a unit owner, if you do not have an assigned space, if you do not have a sticker, you must use the valet. That's it. I mean, okay. let's go to the next slide. The recommendations that we have is counting the date of lease. This is number one. We have a couple of apartments. It's not many, about 2 or 3 apartments for whom people that lived here for several years renting and then bought their unit or bought a unit in the building, and the committee feels that they should be given credit for the time that they rented as far as the date that their parking is considered. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we think that this is something that is fair. The valet. We recommend that the valet be available 24/7, 2 during daylight hours to alleviate backups, and one during nighttime. This would also help relieve the tight parking issue, and go down to number 4. We need to have the cameras at the back door and the garage so the front desk and valet can monitor the drop-off space and remove cars that are left there at the back door. Also to remove cars that are blocking the A road. It's recommended that fees, fix the cameras. This is also a security issue. You know, I mean, it's not just dependent on cars, it's a security issue for the building. Right now, anybody is buzzed in through the back door. Okay, I mean, they don't know who's there. You just push the button and it automatically opens, so anybody can go walking in there. Okay.
And that'll stop.
But we've been asking for this for a long time. It's recommended that fees be established for second cars. The use of the fees for extra cars could be used to pay for an extra valet. We have 99 second cars, for example, and charging $100 a month extra would bring in $118,000 a year. This is just an example. I didn't set the fee. We didn't set the fee. It's a recommendation. It's a recommendation. We don't need to discuss it. So, going on. The parking committee needs to be informed when a unit is sold or has new renters and the resulting change of cars. This has been a kind of a breakdown in the past, and this was true in the past. I mean, that office was when, going back to 2022, trying to get things out of that office, and things would people delivered things into the office and it disappeared, and we couldn't find it, we couldn't get it. It's much better this year. Thanks to Sherry and Jackie in terms of keeping the information there. But one of the breakdowns, and this isn't purposeful or anything, it's just that we're looking at the system and how it works. And so we're working to improve that as far as the process goes. It's recommended that we in some way verify receipt of the registration packets, such as email with VeriSign to indicate the receipt. It's recommended that the committee meet once a month to update new unit and renter information. Instead of doing this and say once a year, we're just saying maybe a regular meeting every month. Sometimes it'll be busy, sometimes it won't be, but every month. It's recommended that, there have been strong complaints. The cars continue to park in the A row spaces. This really is a problem. And there is a solution, one solution that has been suggested, and that is when you're down there and you look at the A road that people run in and they park there, take the first spaces to, if I'm looking toward Integra, to the left, that first row that is used for valet now, but make that another drop-off area. In other words, expand the drop-off this way and keep that row A section closed. I mean, that's a simple solution, and I think it would work. Well, we have another issue. And we're also looking at number 9. It's recommended that the retained space designation be discontinued. To stop it, because what's happening is people are, first of all, there's a lot of confusion among people about that retained space. it's not guaranteed that people can retain spaces. It's right there in the rules and regs, is there's no guarantee. But there are several people that we did not allow because their dates of deed, so on and so forth. So people say, well, I retained it. I want to retain, I said retain it. Well, it's right there. It's not, there's no guarantee with that. The other thing is that the people that retain their spaces prevent other people, in general, prevents other people from moving up. And I just hear, these are recommendations, it's not set in rule, you don't like it, you don't like it. Hear me out. So, when that happens, and people, if you just leave it as it is, and the natural attrition of people leaving, dying, moving, whatever, and it leaves an open space, then it comes time for reassignment, everybody moves up. Not people just say, I don't want to move. It's everybody moves. And that's it. And the people that are up closest to the back door, they're not going to move. I mean, they're as far as they can go. Yes.
With regard to our third and fourth vehicles, it is in our documents that that's only based if it's available. Fourth vehicles was not even something that we even talked about before. That being said, no recreational vehicles, no collectibles, no second cars for the weekend, and are permitted on premises. We got rid of this a long time ago because we were tight for space. The burden of the expense, the first car and the second car, I don't agree necessarily with the recommendation, but, that doesn't.
It's a recommendation.
But the third and the fourth should share the burden, because if we make available a space for you, you've got to just dissuade people from having their own cars. You can't accommodate everything.
There's another recommendation that's kind of through all of this, and it came up on something else earlier this evening, and that is really recommending that the office be allowed to enforce the rules. If you read our rules, it talks about towing, it talks about all these things, but we need the approval to do that, and there is a great reticence toward anyone to do that, and we need to do that. Yes.
Thank you so much for the job.
Okay, and lastly, I really want to single out Jackie and Shirley and Jerv, because they have been so helpful and supportive on this. And I want to tell you, I didn't realize what sitting, because we sit in the little boardroom, and sometimes you hear the office and everything. The staff takes a hell of a lot of abuse from some of the residents here. And I think it should be acknowledged. It's really embarrassing almost. And I think they do a fabulous job of responding to some very difficult things.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, Rosa?
Yes, I do appreciate all the work that you guys have done. I do appreciate, but what are you guys doing to fix the big mistakes that you have made this time? Like, you've done everything right, your honors, you did the papers the right time. I don't know if it's lack of communication with the office, and you sent to the wrong spot. What you guys are doing of that?
What do you mean send to the wrong spot? Oh, you mean assigned to the wrong spot? Well, I don't know.
We're not gonna, one thing I should have clarified is we're not gonna deal with individual cases tonight.
Okay.
If you have a problem with that, then come to the office tomorrow.
Honey, do you have a question? We'll have to figure something
I have a
out.
question. In the back, where the two yellow holes are, when I first came to the cricket club, I was told that was, you stop there when you ask for the bellman to unload your car. And then you moved your car out of that space. Many times, after I do a Costco run or whatever, and I call for the bellman, someone pulls up behind me and just leaves their car and says, well, that's valet.
No, okay, let me clarify this. No. You come through the gate if you need to drop off stuff or you need the bellman. You tell the person at the gate. They call the bellman will meet you downstairs. Now, some people may like to go and park their own car. But the way it was designed is you pull back, you leave your key in the cup, the valet comes and they will park your car in your spot, okay? Very easy, you don't have to worry, you go with the bellman upstairs and do your thing. You do not have to do it yourself. Because yes, of course you're gonna get blocked in sometimes.
Have your bellman tell
The valet, yeah, the valet looks periodically, but just tell the bellman, have him take my car. And he does.
Somebody else comes over,
No, but you don't have to worry about parking. If somebody comes behind you, the valet moves it.
Okay, I think we need to move on. Do you have one question? Sure.
We obviously have a problem with not enough spaces for all the cars and visitors and guests and workers and.
Right.
We need to begin to look at something to remedy the situation. We have this, we've only been here about 10 years, and, the building has gone from a snowbird building to a year-round occupancy, so the parking problem is only going to increase.
We agree.
One thought that I had, because we're on a limited spigot, is to create additional spaces by adding an extra level, either an extra level over the garage or possibly even along the canal for the second level. It's just a suggestion for thinking about, because it's going to be an expensive construction, but we need to create more space.
Oh, well, it turns out we don't own all of them. No, there was some kind of issue about. Yeah, the
Can't
dog.
hear. Betsy, we can't hear the conversation back here.
We had 24 spaces that were supposed to be planned to be built on the hill, okay? The other issues that came up was we had hoped to enjoin an original plan for the distant part where the landscaping is on the southern portion with that expansion. That became problematic. We never pursued doing the hill parking. We had gone to the city, we've gotten them to verbally agree that they would give us the variance so we didn't have to have the 20-foot setback, which would reduce the space to 11 spaces, which would not have been helpful at all, okay? As time went by and our costs happened, the board made a decision to use those funds to let that idea go and use those funds to pay for the overages on the construction before we got rid of the first group for the east and west. So we're looking at it.
We're going to have to look at it.
That's where that one.
Okay, we have one more issue on the agenda, and we need to make this quick. Discussion on floor storages. What's the idea here?
The reason why I'm bringing this up and I added it to the agenda is because in the last 7 months, we have had 2 robberies on 2 different floors. Okay, I did an inspection with my chief engineer and with my maintenance team, going through each floor storage to see what the cages are, how everything is, how it's set up. A lot of the cages, one, are all damaged by termites, they're broken, cages are not split equally. I have a floor that a new owner just purchased, and we were advised that they do not have a floor storage. And it turns out that there's a unit that has 2 storages. There's other floors that there's additional storages added that should have not been added. I don't know what the agreement was back then, what it was, but not every floor is equal. So one thing that I did was I advised the board, obviously, we don't have cameras, and that's something that's on the assessment, that we are gonna be adding cameras to all the floors, all the storages are gonna have floors, and one of the things that I'm working on is getting a fob system that only the residents from that floor can access that door. So that's coming up. However, with the actual cages themselves, I suggested to the board, and I'm already working on getting estimates to create the same storages like we have in the lower lobby, the metal storages. We want to create equal storages for every owner. Everybody has to have a designated space and an equal space for everybody on every floor. Okay, so that's something that I wanted just to discuss today. I'm already working on estimates. Obviously, it's outside of the assessment. This is something that can be broken up. I've already dealt with a few vendors that are willing to work with us. We would just have to pay upfront the cost for the materials, but they would work with us on a monthly basis, maybe do 2, 3 floors at a time. But also the other thing is most of the floors are nasty. They need to be repainted, they need new lighting, there's holes, fire issues that we need to cover up, so all that needs to be worked as well. So that is one thing that I'm gonna bring up to the board. I already have 2 estimates that they're already aware of. I'm pending one more, and then we'll bring it up at the next meeting if this is something they wish to proceed with.
Connie, you have a question?
On the floor storages, some of them, I don't know if they're on every floor, but I know on our floor, there's some of them on the end caps that have taken 2 storages and made them into.
That's right. Right, it's not fair.
There's a pipe, there's pipes running like right through my storage. It's 3/4 of it unusable.
That is why, the whole reason why I started this endeavor is because I had a new homeowner that just purchased, and it just so happens that there was a previous agreement with the prior management, and they took away a storage and they gave it to another owner, and they put that person on another floor. So this is where I started, like, okay, well, let me start checking the floor storages. Because I had already done inspections when I first started here about a year ago. Actually, it's almost a year that I've been here. But all the storages, there's termite issues, the cages are falling apart, everything is scratched out, not numbered correctly, and they're not even. Everybody has to have an equal space. There's been over the years that people added space, they've removed the cage and added their own thing. So that's why I want to do something that's equal for everybody. This is going to be a costly matter. It's metal that we're putting in. It's going to be the exact same thing that we have on the lower cage storages. So one of the things that I was saying was to put the actual locks that we would provide to you guys and everybody gets. And again, when we do the fob. No, we want to get the ones with the metal thing and it. So that'll be brought up at the next meeting. I'm hoping to have everything done by then, and then you guys will have an idea of what it will cost. But that is something that I think is adamant, because everybody needs to have an equal space. Everybody should have a storage on their floor.
It's a health and safety issue, there's termite.
Okay, that's it. Better hurry.
Alright. Can you see me? Yes. So my question is on the parking committee. So great job. It really highlights all the effort of everyone. So congratulations to everyone. My question is, do we have any planning for electrical vehicles? Because today there's no charging stations, and I believe that some owners may have electrical vehicles and other owners may be planning on having.
We don't have a plan at this moment. We've talked about it. There's issues with insurance, and it's as you know, there's a financial issue here at the Cricket Club, so it's not been top priority. Yeah, so yeah, I think the priority of things is that's not up there. So we have an electrical certification issue. Okay, next question. Sophie?
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Good. What?
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, so two things. About the parking committee, for example, I'll give you one example. We asked to stay at the space that we were supposed to, and we got moved to a compact park, but that's another issue. I just have a question and a request. I live in penthouse, so I'm penthouse 10. I believe that the manager needs to walk the floors at least once a week, and I know it's a big time, but there's painting issue. There's things that have not been done, and I know that it's a big project now, that we have a lot of special assessment and tons of big project, but our hallway need to be nice. And for example, in front of the penthouse floor, there was a painting done, and it's been like this for over 2.5 months. So we're not talking about major issue. We're not talking about a lot of money. We're just talking about trying to make our building as nice as possible, even during the construction. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We agree. All right, I think that ends the meeting. Motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your involvement.
You talking to me?
How you feeling?
It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Taking good care of her?
I never had a problem. Hey,
Nice to see you.
Mary. I never had a problem.
Recording stopped.